Warning. Before watching this video, please understand that the opinions in this video are exactly that. They are my opinions. I 100% recommend everyone try using all of the bikes in the game to see what works for them, and everyone is entitled to their own opinions. Right, since we've got the, I guess, pre-video warning out of the way, so hopefully nobody in the comments gets triggered with a OEM versus factory bike debate, let's just start off by saying the cockpit views of these bikes, bearing in mind I've only hopped on the RM and now the Kawi 450s, there's something about them, like the level of detail in the textures. If you can look at the reflective part on the left shroud there, at the bottom left, it's like it's got little scratch marks and not dirt as such, but it just looks like it's slightly worn, so it's not 100% perfect and clean, and it just looks so nice. So this video, it's not going to be team versus team, bike versus bike. I don't want to do that. I'm going to have a separate OEM video out at some point in the near future. However, I tried the OEM bikes for about 2 hours or so last night, and I've not quite got my head around them yet. Some, for like half a lap, I'll feel really good, and then another half a lap I'll be all over the place, and I think that's purely down to just how drastic the changes are from one update to another. So instead of putting out a video saying, this sucks, that sucks, I don't like this part, blah blah blah, and it coming off extremely negative, I want to take a lot more time with it and really try and get my head around things and then release a video. Because unfortunately, a lot of people value my opinion on this game, as much as I wish it wasn't the case. I wish I could just like say my piece and then that's it, and that's it only. A lot of people don't kind of develop their own opinions on bikes, and they just take my word for it. So we're not doing that today. Today we're just going to be talking about positives, and that's exactly why I'm using these factory bikes right here. So I, hand on heart, 110% believe I have not had as much fun on this game since the day I installed it, riding these bikes. Now that is within the space of an hour. So I've ridden the RM about for a little bit. You might have seen a tiny bit in the introduction, in the background, but behind the warning of the RM. I think it looks incredibly pretty. It's probably one of my favourite looking bikes in general. You know, as soon as the Suzuki's get electric starts, IRL, I'm probably going to go out and buy one straight away, because that's very exciting stuff. So that's a little bit of a weak spot for me, and I really do like it. But then obviously the Kawi looks good as well, and the reason I'm hopping on this is I went to go and compliment the factory guys in Discord before I press record, just saying, you know, these bikes are a lot of fun, well done. And I saw someone say that apparently the cockpit view on the Kawi was incredibly good. So we've hopped on it, and I agree. And even the skins that these guys have released for it, I think there's one on each bike, is a system decal skin. They look very pretty as well, and I'm very, I guess, interested to see how long until the PSDs come out publicly, because I need to really get onto 327's case and see if he can make me a skin for each of these factory bikes. If you've been putting off buying that new MX gear, or you're just looking for some new daily MX related clothing, then head on over to fxrracing.com. Code MXPR_Lins15 at checkout will give you 15% off all motocross and lifestyle products. This code is applicable to the European, Swedish and Norwegian websites, and not Canada or the USA. And whilst I've got your attention, you may as well subscribe to the channel. It's just one click of a button and it puts a big old smile on my face. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video. One thing that I am very happy with, which, to be fair, there might be some differences because I've not tried each and every bike just yet, but I believe all of these bikes handle the same. No, they're the same in... I don't know if they're the same in terms of power. Actually, I need to check that. But in terms of the feel, like the geometry and such, they've all been imported into the game in a way that they can all be alike, which some people aren't fans of. Some of them like each bike having their own characteristics and nuances. However, I think for, I guess, the competitive aspect of the game, I think it's good to have a lot of variety. I mean, even casual as well. It stops there being one bike as a meta. You can just ride whatever bike you think looks the best, and it's going to add a lot more colour to the gates, hopefully. I'm excited to be lining up again in the Papiti servers. It probably in a day or two's time, when all the servers have been updated with the newest bikes, and I can hop on and see all the different colours. Because that was even an enjoyable part up until recently as well, with all of the different 252 strokes that were out on the factory pack. There was always different colours. I've seen RMs, Yamahas, Kawis, a lot of them, and it's nice not just having a sea of blue or a sea of red, for example. So massive W in that regard. So very happy. Now, in my opinion, the bikes as a whole, I think They've done a very, very good job on suspension. I know that's something that they was really working on with this update. I did a nationals race at Matterley Basin. It was one of the GP races, a factory GP race on 252 strokes. And I was riding the Cowie 252 stroke, and I'd find every now and then I would hear there's one or two bumps around the track in particular I would find I would hit, and the bike would just suddenly explode on me with no chance of really saving it. And D Mills was also in that race. He's one of the main testers for these bikes, and he felt that as well. So they really focus on the suspension as a whole, and right now I'm running this, I guess you could say stock. It's a factory bike, so it's not like fully stock suspension, but stock values as the bikes come. I've changed nothing other than putting the spec tyres on, and it feels very, very nice. It feels plush. You know, these little choppy bumps aren't doing too much to hinder me at all. With these spec tyres, I feel like traction's pretty damn good. I've not found myself slide the back end yet, but you did see earlier this lap I had a little wash in the front end. And I suppose when I played on the RM earlier for a little bit, I played it on Supercross, and it actually tracked through the whoops pretty decently as well. And that was on round, it was on 2023 Houston. I think is that round 4-ish, something like that. And them whoops they're quite large and they're quite spaced out, so I thought that'd be a really good test, and it works absolutely fine. I will say that the bikes can be a little bit of a handful. You know, the acceleration on these is crazy, but then I suppose if I was to hop on a factory 450 bike in real life and bang the throttle open coming out of corner, the chances are the front wheel would come up on that as well. So I can't hate it on that at all. I will say, and this is not meant to be taken in a negative way, because I really do view, I think my outlook on this game over the last couple of months has really changed, is these bikes do make the game easier, like a lot easier. They're very consistent. The power obviously helps you be able to get up and over a lot of difficult jumps quite easily, especially in Supercross. It really does open up like a lot of quads and things that you wouldn't usually expect to be able to do. But I think for new players to the game, it will definitely help them probably not hate the game as much. I remember, back when I started learning, it was the end of Beta 15, start of Beta 16, when I would think the game was a bit easier than it is these days anyway, so it wasn't that frustrating. But I imagine anybody kind of getting into the game in Beta 17/Beta 18 era have probably had a few instances where they just want to pull their hair out, you know, where it's become very, very frustrating to try and learn the bikes with wonky front ends and heel physics. But that's definitely improving, both OEM side and factory side. That's the only comparison I'm going to make in this video. We're not mentioning it anymore. But yeah, these bikes are really, really fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself, and I actually got Rum to download these bikes and play them whilst we was watching the final SMX race at the LA Coliseum, and you could hear in his voice he was absolutely loving it, which is good, because Rum's been pretty absent for the game for some time now. He kind of pieced the scene since, like mid-Beta 17-ish, just wasn't a fan of the direction the game had gone in. So to hear him thoroughly enjoying it last night was really, really nice to see. Hopefully we can get some of the old boys that haven't played in a minute and get them back on and have some fun. I've not massively stress tested these bikes at all just yet, and what I mean by that is really putting it through, I guess, the wonkiest conditions possible, so super, super deep narrow ruts or really steep uphills. So that's all to come in the future. The opinions, I guess, I'm giving now are purely just initial impressions. However, I will say, to impress me this much in a short period of time takes a lot of doing. As you know, I'm a grumpy old man. I like looking for things to complain about. I feel like do what you're good at, and I'm certainly good at moaning about things rather than just getting on with it. But I generally, these are so much fun. Oh my god, I overjumped it. Oh, we're going to the moon. Oh god, survive. What's the suspension like then? Bounce me a little bit, but you know what? I think anyone's going to crash if they're overjumping a jump like that, IRL. However, you saw how far I jumped that, so I quadded that very easily, and I was coming up short on the 5. I really struggled to even hit that quad this time, but I say this time last year, when we actually raced this event. I found that quad was quite a bit of a stretch. So we're on the Fantic right now, and the Fantic front end looks so much different than it does on the OEM's front end. I don't know if they're using all of the exact same models. I know the guys mentioned they've put some of their money in to purchase some of these models for the game. I think they've adapted some free models from MX Simulator as well. And I was very, very surprised that they was able to get each and every bike to put into this game because I know that was, I think, one of the main reasons behind there just being the Honda 450 at the start is just model access. But I think the bikes all look very, very pretty. Survive that. Oh, I did. That's what I mean. That they feel very light in the air. You saw there that I kind of landed a little bit sketchy, a bit sideways, and the bike kicked out. Yet I was able to open the throttle and like muscle the bike back into place, which when I watch real life riding, seeing riders take off jumps with extremely skinny deep ruts, you see the back end kick out and they're instantly able to adapt and move their body and get the bike back straight. Something that I'd never be able to do in real life. I'd definitely run out of skill and talent before that point. I would end up on my arse. But that's something that we need to be able to do in the game a little bit, is to be able to correct mistakes, and these bikes definitely give you the ability to do that. They feel very light in the corner, to the point where the 450s feel like a 250. Like I can crank this bike over so far. Try pushing it a bit there, and it actually stood out for once. But you can really crank these bikes over so far. And let's see what this run through the whoops is like, because again, this is suspension as it comes. Could you ask for much more than that? That was so clean. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, to say I'm a happy man is a bit of an understatement. One thing that I'm not happy about, and this isn't a comparison between bikes at all, this is more from, I guess, the individual organisation perspective, or the opinion of the organisers, is I'm having the most fun on these bikes right now. However, I think a lot of the racing will still be done on the OEM side of things. So it's really difficult for me to, I guess, kind of mix fun with competition right now, because the bikes feel so different to one another. The way they handle is just completely different. Even like as far down as the muscle memory goes, there's just nothing about them that are similar at all and transferable from one to the other. So one thing I'm worried about is I know I'm going to use these bikes a lot for fun, whether it's like ranked Papiti stuff. And when it comes time for aerial, or I don't know what bike's being used at the land event yet, to be honest, but yeah, for aerial, like the upcoming land event and stuff, I feel like they're going to stick OEM route. So it's going to be difficult to learn two completely different ways of playing the game. So I'm a little bit nervous for that, and I'm hoping that I don't hinder myself too much. I think it might actually get to a point where I need to limit my factory bike playing time and just really boost my OEM playing time. I feel like if that is the case, then I need to put... I'd probably have to put in, like... this sounds really weird, but from a maths perspective, if I was to spend 100 hours playing the game, but I wanted to learn both bikes and be good on them both, I think I'd have to put in 10 hours on factory and like 90 on OEM to be going good speeds on both of them. I think the OEMs are a little bit more challenging at this moment in time for me. I'm sure the muscle memory will eventually adapt. But again, I can't really pick out an area, at least on these factory 450s right now. I've not tried the 250s or the two-strokes at all. I can't find a negative, which is very, very rare for me to say, but I genuinely can't. Out the box, the suspension feels great, whether it's on Nationals, braking bumps, whether it's whoops in Supercross, they feel really good. Low speed stuff, I've not come across any funkiness just yet. I had the one front wheel tuck on JV's, God, what is it? Baker's facility, that's it. And then a little bit sketchy in the whoops. Let's try this round here again. Just smooth on the throttle. Try and scrub that single as much as you can. And we go quad again, dab the back brake into the corner. Gyroscopic effects really good on this. So you saw that little brake tap that I done in the air in the quad. You actually feel the front end dip down, which is really important. Gives you just a bit more control in the air. Just feels smooth, nothing unexpected at all. I think the bikes sound pretty good. I know they've been doing some working on engine sounds and rev limiters, because the Honda 450 before this most recent update, I don't believe it had a rev limiter. You know, it never revved out all the way. I'm not going to act as if I know what goes into making sounds and at what point the different sounds kick in and mixing different sounds together. Bit of a bad example right now because I'm not on the Suzuki, but when I rode the Suzuki, the bike sounds really, really nice, but the rev limiter also sounds good as well. And they've left it until the very, very end of the rev range for the limiter to kick in. So you don't get your ears blown off like through the whoops or in the air. It's just if you're in the air and you've been revving for a very, very long time, that's when the limiter kicks in. It's not like it's instantaneously. So very pleasing on the ears, I guess is the best way. And I've not come across any bikes just yet where I felt like I need to add my own sound mod in. Which I quite often used to do in the past. I used to always be changing the sounds of bikes for something that I thought sounded a little bit nicer. So really good stuff, really, really positive. And again, this isn't meant to be a comparison video by any means. This is purely meant to be me expressing my joy of these new factory bikes, and I guess giving the factory guys a bit of a pat on the back and a job well done. I'm part of, they've got their own individual Discord outside of the factory Discord as well. And I quite often see the guys behind it just sitting in there chilling together. I see them sharing their screens, and it looks like they're behind the scenes doing all the testing and stuff, so I can see firsthand all the effort that goes in. Can we 5 this? No, I think that's asking just a little bit too much. So they definitely have their limits. You're not going to go in and 5 in your way through rhythm sections at least, but I think this is very good for newbies. I think it's very good for people like me who maybe have got burnt out a little bit after their 2,000 plus hours, and now they just want to have a little bit of fun. And I hope that, well, I hope that they keep doing what they're doing, because it really is enjoyable. And for me, at this moment in time, it's kind of saved the game for me. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Don't expect an OEM video like tomorrow, for example. I'm going to spend, I think, a good couple of days just trying to learn the bikes, getting the muscle memory down, and then when I feel like I've got to a point where I can ride them consistently enough that I can give unbiased feedback, I will definitely do so. But I thought I would address that because I know there's people going to be asking those questions. I hope that there's no, I guess, loads of hateful comments one way or the other, because this isn't meant to turn into a debate as such. This is meant to be, hey, we've got good bikes in the game, let's ride them and enjoy them regardless of who they're made by. And I think that will do it for me. Let me know your thoughts on the factory bikes as well, and to, I guess, the 1110 Mods team, to J Mertz, to Steeler, to D Mills, anybody else involved testing wise, etc. Job very well done. They look great, they sound great, they feel great, and I have zero complaints. That'll do it from me. Please drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, all that good stuff. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.